How to get rich selling cars. You got to create a clientele. All right? How important are referrals to the long-term success? Okay. How do we get referrals?
Ask for this. Yeah. Tell them.
Ask for them.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet a grandbaby today.
You're going to meet a grandbaby today?
These people that I sell the car to.
Okay, good.
I'm taking Dip with me.
All right, let me tell you what I was taught to do. I was taught to ask at delivery for like 5 names of people you might know in the market for a car. And then I was taught to, on my follow-up phone calls, ask them who they knew in the market for a car. It never, ever, 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 ever worked. Okay? So, even though it never, never, ever worked, when I started training salespeople, I taught them to do the same thing I did that never, ever, ever, ever worked. How smart's that? Well, a salesperson pointed this out to me. I met a guy, he worked at a Chevy Buick store, Chevy GMC store, and I was doing a meeting there, and he was obnoxious. But I understand why salespeople are obnoxious, because most training sucks, so he was being obnoxious. And if you're being obnoxious and you're a good salesperson, I understand it. I don't blame you. In fact, I appreciate it. But if you're selling like 6 cars a month and you're obnoxious, I'm going to toast you. So I look up on their motivator board in their sales room, and the number beside his name didn't make sense, because this was March, so I was looking at the February board. So at the end of the day, I asked the GM and the dealer. I said, you know, your boy Tom. I said, he's a handful. They said, yeah, he is, but he needs work on his gross profit. I said, how many cars a month does he sell? And they said, well, he did 57 last year. I said, he sold 57 cars last year? They went, no. He averaged 57 units a month. Well, I went over to see him. He was in the used car building across the street. I knocked on his glass and asked him if he'd spend a few minutes with me, because, again, I want to learn. And here's what he taught me. I said, how do you do it? He goes, well, Steve, I contact my customer base every single month. I said, well, you can't possibly talk to your customers every single month. He goes, I didn't say I talked to them. I said, I contact them. I said, do you send a newsletter out? He goes, would you read a newsletter from a car salesman? I went, no. He goes, no, I don't send a newsletter out. He said, I either call, email, or text. And when I call, 90% of the time, I get voicemail. So I'm leaving voice messages, texts, or emails. I said, okay. I said, are you asking for referrals? He goes, Steve, you don't understand. He said, first of all, the first time I sell somebody a car, there's no real relationship. He goes, I just didn't screw it up. My dealership's location, their inventory, their marketing, their pricing policies, that's what brought the customer in, and I didn't screw it up. He goes, and there's really no relationship. I just didn't screw it up. The relationship starts at delivery. He said, it's annoying and ineffective to ask a customer for referrals. I said, so you don't believe in referrals? He goes, hell. He goes, you can't sell as many cars as I do without getting lots of referrals. I said, I'm confused. He goes, no, you're a dumbass. And you know what? That guy earned the right to call me a dumbass. I said, well, clue me in. He goes, I will. He goes, I leave a message with all my customers every single month. He said, it doesn't cost me anything. I do it first thing in the morning. He said, my customers never, ever, 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 ever forget who I am, because I never forget who they are. And the reason it doesn't work to ask for referrals at delivery or in your follow-up calls is all based on mathematics. I said, what do you mean? He said, what percentage, well, I'll ask you guys, what's Columbia? Is there 1 million people around here? I'm going to guess. In the metro Columbia area, I bet you it's close to 1 million people. Let's call it 1 million. What percentage of the people in metro Columbia woke up this morning looking for a new or used vehicle?
5%.
5%. So, I buy a car from Q. Obviously, I like Q. I've had a good time or wouldn't buy the car from him. Q asks me, do you know anybody in the market for a car, Steve? What are the chances of me knowing somebody in the market for a car? Slim to none. Okay? It's very slim. However, over time, at work, on the golf course, at parties, at dinners, you think I might run into somebody looking for a car. Might be 3, 5, 6, 8, 12, 18, doesn't matter. Over a period of time, am I going to run into people looking for a car? Okay? If I don't remember Q's name, can I send him a referral?
No.
No. You know, when I learned this, and this was 6 or 7 years ago, I started asking. I belonged to a country club. I'm the only car guy there. So I noticed drive-out plates. In Georgia, when you buy a car, you get a paper tag for the first 30 days until you get your hard tag. So whenever I would see a drive-out tag, I would always find out who bought the car, and I'd ask them this question. I'd say, hey, Lee, who'd you buy that car from? The answer almost always was the name of the dealership. Nally Lexus. I said, well, no, I know where you bought it. I saw that on the back of your car. Who did you buy it from? Remember, this is a 30-day time slot after they bought the car. I was stunned at the number of people that could not give me their salesperson's name. All of them said good things about the salespeople. In fact, one guy said, yeah, he was the best salesperson I ever had. I said, if I wanted to buy a car from him, how would I do it? He goes, go to Nally Lexus, go to the receptionist and ask for the short, fat, bald guy. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Statistically speaking, 100 people in Colombia bought a car a year ago today. Statistically speaking, what percentage of them can give you their salesperson's name?
One.
No, it's about 8%. About 8%. Average price of a vehicle is almost 50 grand, almost 30 in a used, and they can't remember who the hell they spent that kind of money with. Is that the customer's fault?
No.
No. Look, you've got a CRM that's going to prompt you to call your customers from time to time, right? Cars, anniversary, birthday. If it's a new Honda, you got to call them a bunch right off the bat so they check the right boxes on the survey. I get all that. It ain't enough. Do what your CRM tells you to do, but you got to do a lot more. Sebastian, you want to get real comfortable? Mm-hmm. Don't ever let that customer forget you. And that means you can't forget your customer. You want to hear the message this guy leaves every single month?
Yes.
He did this for me. Mrs. McGregor. I'll never forget this name. He puts it on speakerphone. He goes, if Miss McGregor answers the phone, I'm going to say exactly what I'm going to say if she doesn't answer the phone. And I get voicemail. Sure enough, it goes to voicemail. And this is the message he leaves, either by text, email, voicemail, or if the customer picks up the phone, he says exactly the same thing. Lee, this is Steve from Steve Paget's. No need to call me back unless there's something I can do for you. Just want to let you know that I'm here for you if you need me for anything. Have a great day. This is Steve, your car guy at Steve Paget's. That's it. Is he annoying the customer? He's offering to be of service. Now I asked him a question. I said, do some people get tired of hearing from you every month? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, and from time to time I'll get an email back or a text back, or they'll answer the phone and say, hey dude, you don't need to call me every single month. I don't need to hear from you every single month. He goes, I put them on a quarterly rotation. But I'm never going to let the customer forget who I am. And he finished by saying this. This is what you want to aspire to. He said, I've become a lot of people's favorite car salesperson. That's what you want to be. When you become a lot of people's favorite car salesperson, forget repeat business, you're going to get that. But you're going to get referrals. And this is not going to take you 10 years to do. This guy's been selling cars for like 4 or 5 years. He's making almost $500,000 a year. But a lot of people consider him to be their favorite car salesperson. So I started asking all my friends, who's your favorite car salesperson? once, maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 could give me a guy's name and say so-and-so at the Audi store, so-and-so at the Honda store has really done a great job. I buy all my cars from him. I bought all my Hondas from the same guy until he died. You're right. But he lived a long, like he was 84, still selling 25 cars a month, working 4 days a week. He literally died almost on the job. Great guy, great guy. But he never let me forget him. And I never forgot him. And I can't tell you how many people I sent to him.
Even though he wasn't a Latino.